Alright guys, it's Alex back again. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, but I figured I'll continue on with the 80s theme, the best albums of the 80s going through the years. So I did 1981 last time. I'm moving on to 82. Now I do want to give a shout out to Midnight Love by Marvin Gaye before I get into this. I do have a copy, but I need a better copy, so mine's in the to get rid of pile, and I haven't been listening to it, and therefore it's been coming down in my estimate. But of course, if I have a better copy that I can actually listen to, maybe it would be a bit higher. But for now, these are my top 10 albums of 1982. Starting off with It's Hard by The Who. This is not the best Who album, no. I mean, Eminence Front is, at least for me, the standout track on this album. And I would have to say that the only reason this album is in the top 10 of 82 is because it's been in my recent rotation for a little while, especially over the last couple of weeks. I have listened to it a lot, but no matter how much I listen to it, Eminence Front is still the standout track for me on this album. So I can't rank it any higher, but I can't rank it any lower because it is one that I have been listening to a lot recently. Next up is probably one of my favourite 80s albums, I would say. This is Avalon by Roxy Music. Definitely the album that introduced me to Roxy Music. The title track, Avalon, of course, More Than This. Yep, just all fantastic stuff. I do love this album. So yeah, I cannot wait to check out more Roxy Music. Again, it's only this low on my list because I haven't listened to it in a while. So that's that. Chicago 16 is next. This was my introduction to Chicago. So of course I have to show it. Not the best Chicago album, not the worst one, but my introduction to them. So I'm gonna treasure it a bit more than others. Famous Last Words by Supertramp is up next. One of the best Supertramp albums, I would say. It would make the top, for me, probably top 5 Supertramp albums. Easily. Just a phenomenal album. Really took me by surprise because I didn't know what to expect. But it is the last album with Roger Hodgson as part of the band, so you know, it's kind of a given that it is their last great album, but not as good as its predecessor, Breakfast in America, unfortunately. H2O by Hall & Oates is next. Of course, this has the really big track Mania on this. Phenomenal album, and I just love Hall & Oates music, so of course I'm going to show this one off. Whitesnake, Saints and Sinners has Here I Go Again on it, of course. The really big track that they had. This is probably one of those albums from that hair metal era that I absolutely love, and I don't like a lot of metal, as people might know. So for this to be about halfway up on my list for 82, it's got to be a good album, right? Yeah, I do love this album quite a bit, so I had to show it off. Next up on my list is Friends by Shalamar. This is easily one of my favourite 80s soul albums. You've got I Can Make You Feel Good on this album, you've got the title track Friends on this album, A Night to Remember is on this album, so just a really good album from 1982 that I think needs a little bit more credit because of how fantastic it is. Next up is Toto 4. Has Rosanna and Africa on it. I don't know why I was going to say Roxanne. That's the Police, but there we go. Yeah, Rosanna and Africa. I mean, this is just a phenomenal album. I do love Toto's music quite a bit. Nice to have this album in the collection. Just a must-have piece if you love the 80s. I mean, it's just one of those albums. And interesting fact is Africa is actually the internet's favorite song. So props to that. Next up on my list from 82 is an album I think again needs a little bit more credit than what it gets. This is The Lexicon of Love by ABC. Stellar album from front to back, just absolutely incredible. You know, of course, has A Look of Love on here, Poison Arrow, Tears Are Not Enough, Many Happy Returns. Just everything on this album is phenomenal, and you can't go wrong with this album. I had to put this next album at number 1 because it's probably the most famous album from 1982. And that is Thriller by Michael Jackson. Yeah, mine's mashed at the back, but it doesn't matter because the vinyl's mint. Of course, the most famous album from 82, my favourite album by Michael Jackson, easily. You've got Baby Be Mine, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, PYT, The Girl Is Mine, You Wanna Be Starting Something, and that's just every track I've just mentioned, apart from 2, are great, but every song on here is just great because it's officially the second biggest selling album of all time, but the most famous album from 1982, so I had to give it a mention. And that's going to do it for my top 10 albums of 1982. Obviously, as this goes on and I add more stuff to my collection and whatnot, this will change. I might even look over this when I'm editing it and think, why did I put that there? But that's what I've gone with. That's how it is as it stands right now. As I'm recording this, this could obviously, like I just said, this could change within time. But as of right now and what I've been listening to, that's how it stands. My top 10 albums of 1982. Yeah. I'll see you guys again very soon. Thanks once again for tuning back into the channel. If you are new, welcome. And yeah, expect to see more videos of my top 80s albums coming again very shortly. And as I just said, I'll see you again very soon. Peace.